everybody. How you doing today? Hope you're having a good day and making the best of your time. And that's pretty much what our subject is going to be today. The time we have is now, and I mean right now. See, most people do not dwell in the past because they do not have much of a past. And as we age, we remember things from our past that sometimes make us proud. We also remember some of those things which we're ashamed of. And also as we age, we realize that our bodies do not perform the same as in the past, and in our minds, we like to reminisce about our accomplishments and what we did. And perhaps we received an award or did something really good, and we realized what we did very well. And maybe we got honor for it, maybe we didn't, but we're still very proud of what we did and how we did it. So dwelling in the past may have its place, but spiritually speaking, that is something we have to give up. See, in Philippians 3:13, Paul tells us to forget what is behind and reach forward and upward to what lies ahead. And so we're reminded of that. In Revelation 2 and verse 5, John tells the church at Ephesus, remember from where you have fallen. So some things need to be remembered and some things need to be forgotten. Just because you did something good, you cannot rest on that fact alone. So the church at Ephesus is an example there. Read that in Revelation 2, 1 through 7. And see, the problem is they did great at one time, but then the apostle says, well, you left your first love. All right, so then there are some who focus upon the future. And a lot of people do. We want to look forward to our golden years, and we want to be prepared for that. And we envision maybe a big, beautiful house in a garden. Sometimes we see ourselves on extended vacations to exotic places. But one thing we learn is that our plans need to consider God in our future. See, James 4:13 reminds us of our short time on earth in respect to eternity. In verse 15, he instructs us to remember God by saying, if the Lord wills. See, often people plan their future and ignore God. So, all right, so all we really have is right now or today. See, what we do today does have a bearing upon our future, and how we live today prepares us for tomorrow. And remember that tomorrow is always coming, but never gets here. So in 2 Corinthians 6:2, we read today, behold, now is the day of salvation. Today is the day. And that is very true, for that is all we have. See, if someone decides they will start serving God tomorrow, well, tomorrow never gets here, so that'll probably never happen. And there's too many people who have the intention of getting right with God someday in the future, just not today. And that turns out to be a very tragic mistake. And for so many, and usually the honest truth is that most of them will not ever come to the Lord, even though they have the intentions in their younger years. So that is why it's so important to start today getting yourself in a right relationship with God. So the Bible tells us that we do not know when the end will happen. And we also realize that time and chance happen to everyone alike. We read that in Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 15. And so we are no more than a breath away from leaving this life. You realize driving down the road, you're literally just a few feet away from sudden death. I mean, it can happen so quickly in an instant. And accidents happen all the time. And hardly anyone is prepared to die. And that's quite honest because of you know that because of the way they live. But we all will die unless the Lord returns, in which we will all be changed from the mortal to the immortal. Now, in order to be prepared for the future, like I said, we must be right with God today. And waiting is dangerous for our souls. So we don't want to put it off, and we encourage everyone not to put it off. Start living for Jesus and serving like he did. Serve like Jesus did. Jesus served God faithfully, and we need to do the same thing because Jesus is our example. And so we need to get ourselves prepared to take up our cross and follow Christ. You know, you read that there in Luke 14:27. And sure, you will lose friends and perhaps family, but are you going to allow them to keep you out of heaven? I mean, Jesus said that anyone who does not forsake any of their family is not worthy of him. You know, you read that in Luke 14:26. So Christ has to be first in our lives. And that's what we promise him when we obey him. And he's the one that we should seek to be pleasing. And so we are also told to expect persecution when we live godly lives. You know, 2 Timothy 3 and verse 12. So if you're a Christian, or you call yourself a Christian, and yet you're not persecuted by different people or different things, then chances are you're not declaring to the world that you're a godly person. Because the apostle said they will suffer persecution. Anyone who desires to live godly will suffer persecution. And so, yeah, we may not have the same type of persecution they had back in the first century, but still, there's ways people persecute us. They push us, they pressure us, they tempt us, they try us. They're hoping that we'll fail. They're always making fun of us or saying snide comments about us. So yeah, if none of that stuff is happening to you, you need to evaluate whether you have told the world and those around you that you are a Christian. Now, really, we shouldn't expect persecution from our brethren, but sometimes it does happen. All right, so to wrap it up, today is the day you need to prepare yourself to be a servant of God. I mean, putting it off. No, yesterday is gone. There's nothing we can do about yesterday except maybe pray for forgiveness because we didn't do anything yesterday that was right with God. So, yeah, we do need to pray for forgiveness. If we haven't obeyed the gospel, we definitely need to do that and get ourselves in a right relationship with God. Yesterday is gone, and no matter how faithful you were to God yesterday, we have to make the effort to start living the new life today. And that means waking up every day, thanking God for the new opportunity you have to be faithful to him, and so determined to be faithful not only today, but the rest of your life. So start living the new life today and determine to awake each day as a new day with new opportunities to serve God and do his will. And so as we do those things, we will have a better outlook on life. We won't be all bothered about things of the past that we cannot change. Things of the future, we don't really need to be anxious about those as long as we have God in our lives. Now, if we don't have God in our lives, yeah, we have reason to worry. We have a lot of reason to worry. We have a lot of reason to be afraid if we do not have God in our lives. But as long as we have God in our lives, we're going to be just fine. So think about these things. Like I say, you have today. Don't dwell on the past. Remember the good things. Yeah, you can do that. The bad things, well, you need to remember that that's what you used to do. You don't do those things anymore. And so, but make the determination now to serve God today and every day the rest of your life, and you'll receive that crown of life, which John talked about there in Revelation 2 and verse 10. So be faithful until death. All right, share this message if you can. Make comments if you want to, and if you have any requests, you can send the request to me, and we'll address those. So right now I'm going to let you go. You have a good day, and hopefully, Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow. All right, bye-bye for now.